Good morning, this is Teacher Terry, and being an online teacher, some of us have gotten together now and we've been deciding to expose a lot of these people, a lot of these online companies and their nefarious attempts to get you to think that they are hiring. One of the things that a lot of the companies are doing right now, I want to try and address two particular things at this time. One of them is detrimental to the company, very much so, and the other one is detrimental to their reputation and their potential to sustain themselves in the future with employees. First one I want to talk about is something that happened to me last night. There are several of us who have gotten together and we have looked for these companies, and we are actively looking at these companies. Now, some of us are using different names, different email accounts. So companies, if you're looking at this, you need to be very aware of what we're doing. One of the things that we've found is a lot of these companies are using these terms, "we are hiring now." And what they're doing is getting a database upon you, your needs, and they're just kind of like, I'm not sure if it's a government thing, if it's a Chinese government thing, or if it's just a big ruse, as it were. They have a lot of things going on, and one of the biggest scams that's going on today is this. When a company needs to interview someone for a position, they are at least going to provide an interviewer. When you go onto these websites now, many of them are telling you to do a self-mock interview. Now, I recently did one with a company that I wanted to work for. I've got some friends who work for them. Quite honestly, I'm a 40-year teacher. I used to do some hiring and some recommendations, and I've done a lot of research work for companies and some development, HR, sales, different things like that. And there are a lot of these people online right now that personally I would never have hired, although I will admit some of them have grown into the position quite well. So that said, while my initial impression was negative, I can say that the majority of them have come along quite a ways. So let's get back to my reason, or what we've done. Now, I had a friend of mine go on the other day, and this company said, "Hey, we're hiring, we're opening up slots," because for 3 months they literally had closed all of their interview slots. And you've seen a video of mine before where these companies play this game where they say book a slot, and they have purposely closed those slots because they're either overhired, they're not hiring, and they give you the impression that so many people are flooding the market trying to get an interview, which may or may not be the case. So I won't make a judgment call on that, but I will say that very few openings came up. In fact, as I was observing and researching this one company that we did this yesterday to, or this week to, one slot came open at a real odd time about 4 weeks ago, and this is over a period of 3 months. So suddenly a friend of mine, he calls me up and says, "Hey, we just got a notice the company's going to be hiring. They're opening up a lot of slots. Come on, apply now and see if you can get on." I actually wanted to work with this company because while their pay is low, it filled in the gap with, say, ABC, which VipKid killed. They just went in and slit their throat and put a lot of teachers out of business, which caused another wave, a tsunami of people looking for work. So I went in, I looked at it, and I said, "Hey, wait a minute, guys, look at this. There's an opening tonight, 2 or 3, and then there's some staggered over the period of this week. Let's see if they're serious." So my best friend, he went in and he said, "I'm going to do mine right now." So he immediately went in, booked it. It was an hour from that time. He went in and he shotgunned it. Now, what he did was this, because he wasn't serious about getting a job, He really didn't read anything. He's been an online teacher for just a little bit less time than I have. He knows his stuff. He owns his own private school. He owns his own online teaching company. And he went in and he said, he did his interview, and he purposely did not use a lot of the tools. He purposely went through and ad-libbed a lot of the things. He purposely went in and added his own animations, because one thing that we found out was no interview showed up, no interviewer. You had a slot up here, and it says right at the beginning, if the interviewer does not show up, go ahead and follow the instructions and do a mock interview. Log out at the end, and we'll get back to you after we review your interview. Okay, so that happened. My next friend went in and booked his for a couple of days later, and he went in and he actually did a really good job, but there was 2 or 3 things he didn't do. Now, I had booked mine for 4 or 5 days. I've been doing online teaching in some capacity full-time over the last 5 years. I have a lot of experience. I was trained as a free trial teacher, which actually is my favorite part of doing it. I have had many students, I mean a lot of students, always had top ratings, usually averaged 26 to 30 classes a week, and really never had any problems until ABC decided they were going to pull this little wonderful trick they did through their parent company VIP. And then I didn't lose classes, they were taking classes away from all of the teachers and just playing favorites, you know, who they're going to give all these classes to, which were lower paid new hires. And I've got videos on that, so we won't need to go into it. So anyway, everybody did certain things between 5 of us, and then the last 2 of us went in, studied very hard, even had the timing set down, had the timer on my computer, I had the timer on my clock, there was a timer on the portal itself where you did the interview. We made sure that the timing was perfect. We made sure that we covered every single thing asked for on those slides. We went through every single hint. They had a thing at the top that would come out and give you a hint how to provide and how to do it, you know, some guidelines. We did all the animations. We did all the extensions that they asked for, and every single one of us had the same thing. Not one interviewer showed up for the interview. Not one. Not one. There was not a single human interaction in this entire interview process. That tells you right there, they don't need a teacher. What they're doing is they're throwing this big dog and pony show out there saying, we need you, do this, because they're giving false hope. Listen to me, GoGoKid. We want to work for you. We think you got a great thing going. But you're putting on this big dog and pony show, acting like you need people just to keep your name out there so that people say, oh, look at this logo, GoGoKid. Now, I'm not putting you down to be negative, and you may say I'd never hire you again because of this. But I'm telling you something that you're doing that's causing you a lot of negative reactions. It's showing up on Glassdoor, it's showing up in the forums, and it's going to ruin your reputation to teachers. I'm telling all online companies right now, back up, quit lying to people. If you need people, you put an interviewer there where there's a human reaction. It's easier to do an interview with someone when you can gauge their reaction, when you feel like you're getting a human connection, that someone is really interested in you. Now, out of the 5 of us who did this with GoGoKid, all of us are degreed licensed educators. 3 of us own our own schools, and we teach online to supplement and to have fun because that's what we like to do. 2 of us are proficient in more than 4 different educational platforms. I myself am proficient in 7 different curriculums. Our expertise, all of us, are in education, middle school, all the way down to kindergarten. Where do these companies target most of their clientele? 4-year-old up to 10-year-old. Now that particular thing is my forte. A lot of them say go in there and do a whole lot of, and a lot of TPR, and a lot of entertainment, and a lot of energy. But that's a falsehood. That's not the way you go in as a teacher. That's the way you go in as an entertainer. And that tells you they want to entertain the students to keep the students laughing, whether they learn anything or not, so that the money keeps rolling in. See, the Chinese companies, this is the year of the pig. This is the year of the let's make money. They got all this stuff like that the Western cultures don't necessarily do. So, you've been set up. We're doing this to many companies right now. We encourage you as applicants to get some of your friends together also and do this to different companies. You're going to find out there's a huge scam out there. No one's needing teachers. It's saturated. It's overly saturated. Who's saturating the markets besides referral monkeys? There are so many of us out there who are degreed, licensed, professional teachers who really could give a great base foundation of quality educational teachers to these companies. We are being ignored to a great extent because my friend wants a job. My friend lost their job. They have a TEFL degree they got online. They have no classroom experience. Many of them don't even have children. Many of them don't understand or even like children. Most of these teachers that we get are just getting us little jobs to get some money coming in, and then they're going to move on to something different. You have a lot of these college kids who are young and beautiful, and they're just trying to make a little extra money. No one's faulting anybody for trying to make extra money, but what is being faulted is because the quality teachers who this is their profession, this is their livelihood, this is what they love doing, are being sidelined for people who don't care about the companies. Who do not care for companies? Number one, you may disagree with me. That's fine. Young people between 18 and 24 don't care about companies. They don't know what companies they want yet. They don't know what careers they want yet. They're still partying. They're still out there dating. They're still making this money to go out and have a great time. They've got this schedule fixed to where they can go do their thing, and then they can come in, make money, go spend their money, and then come back. That's what it's all about with them. You have a lot of these stay-home moms now who their best friends are saying, oh, Betty, you can come over here and join us, and you can make all this little extra money for your house at the expense of spending quality time with their children, getting them to and from school, giving up a lot of their sleep, giving up this. They have no real interest except to make a little extra money, but they've still got a spouse over here that may or may not be drawing enough money to make their ends meet, but they're flooding the market, knocking qualified regular teachers out of their jobs. Another thing that happens with these people is they come in, they take money, and they just go spend hundreds of dollars on all this beautiful stuff. So they come in, they look like they've got a recording studio for education. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm not saying that's good. What I am saying is they're going overboard. So it's coming back down to my original picture, my original thing. What are these companies hiring for? Because right now, the very people I just described to you aren't getting the jobs either. These companies are gauging how many people will apply, even though they're going to deny them, so that they can lower the wages, supply and demand. People are needing, wanting work. So they have gone from up to $30 per class all the way down to 10. Now, I would work for 10 with GoGoKid because I like it. It actually fills in exactly what I need. So I'm not arguing the money part of it. It keeps me active. It keeps me going. What I'm saying is these companies are setting you up for failure, because it doesn't matter if you do everything perfect, which two of us did, and we recorded our interviews. We've had other teachers that work for these companies look at them and say, man, that was perfect. I didn't do that good of a job and I got hired. We've got friends that went in and just shotgunned, went in and just acted like an idiot and didn't get. My letter came back exactly the same letter as the other ones. We thank you for your time. Now, I can pull this up right quick, and I can tell you exactly what this letter said, because it's a generic letter that you're going to be getting from a lot of these companies. And let me find it here. This is what they're actually saying, and because they don't have the decency to give you a really, really good thing about it. Well, give me just a second here, because for some reason I put it somewhere and I'm not exactly seeing it right now. And I know that I had, and did I delete that? You know, sometimes I just get to the point where I don't really care, and so I'll delete something. And let's see what I got here. Okay, here we go. Oh, here it says, dear teacher, thank you for your interest in GoGoKid. We appreciate your time and would like to thank you for completing the interview. Now, did they actually look at it? I don't know, because remember, there's thousands of people coming in there looking. How many people are there to actually look at the interviews? You see what I'm saying? Do you see what I'm saying? If you've got thousands of interviews and they're giving you 48 hours before they give you a notice, did they really look at your interview? I'm going to say no. They're hand-picking chosen few recommended by referral monkeys or their own staff. It says, we have carefully reviewed your application and demo and regret to inform you that we will not be advancing your application any further. Thank you for your patience. We wish you success in the future. Now, I did get a second letter on another app, and it had another line in there that said, please wait a month and reapply. And of course it says no reply on this one. They don't want you to go back and apply for again. So that was one that they had. Now, you see what's happening here is they're going in and they're just putting on this show. Now, I am going to say this, and whether you think it's conceited or not, I really don't care. This is a test that we put on these companies, and we're going to continue to do so. One of our friends who's very successful with his record business is going in and doing a complete screwed up job. He's actually been hired at a couple of companies. Turned them down. Have a couple of other of our friends that go in and they do part of what they're asked. The other one does the other part. A couple of them are getting asked. One or two of them will get asked, and then the other one maybe not. And then you've got two of us who've been doing this for years, and we actually study it, we go into detail on it, and we actually put this thing down together. We rehearse it, we record our rehearsal, we go in and we do our interview. And we get denied. Now here's something that we're going to finish up this little video with. The first one that goes in shotguns is 50 years old. The next two, who may or may not get offered a job, who do a pretty bad job of actually doing an interview. One of them is 24 years old, cute, kind of handsome. The other one is around 30 years old, again, nice looking person. We don't have girls doing this because we know that girls have an advantage, in our opinion. I'm not being sexist, just the way we feel about it. And then I'm 66 years old with over 40 years teaching experience, and my other friend is about the same age as I am. So what we're looking at is this. Are they looking for pretty people that have no teaching ability? Are they looking for pretty people who are okay, young, but they fit an image? There's two right there. One does a good job, half of it. The other one does a good job on the other half of it. Would I hire any of these three if I was in a hiring situation? No, I wouldn't. But they get job offers. So we know it's got something to do with looks. We know it's got something to do with age. Now, my friend and I, who are professional online teachers and professional classroom teachers and trainers, mentors, both of us together do this together. We have applied at over 23 different companies over the last 3 years. 3 months, excuse me. Let me look. Okay, up until right now, there are 9 companies that actually contacted us and came back and said we appreciate it, but at this time we're really not hiring, but we want to keep your application in case we do have some openings. They were honest. They said they're not hiring. They have overhired right now. They're no longer hiring, but they want to keep us on. Okay? Out of, there's one, Protostar, and I believe it was Protostar that did it 2 times. The first one to interview, and this lady's name was, I keep slipping my mind. She failed me the very first time. And but she hired a friend of hers. She used to work for ABC. Her name was Mary Bishop with ABC, but that's not her real name. Then I interviewed for Protostar. I had another girl by the same name. She was very good. She mentored me. I got all the way up to the onboarding. They switched interviewers for some reason. I got the same one that failed me the next time, and she fails me again and hired another friend that came over from ABC. But she didn't know that I knew this friend, and I also knew everybody that with Protostar that worked there that were in the know that told me what happened. There was another company, and I'm not exactly sure which one, so I'm not going to name it, and actually told me I needed to dye my hair. Now, if I didn't dye my hair even as much as it's growing out now, you can kind of see at the bottom, it's as white as my shirt. But she told me they didn't like the old-looking people to be sure and dye my hair. there are about, and the numbers may not, I'm just going by what I've got little numbers did here. There's about 16 or 17 of these companies that just flat ghosted you, didn't give you any reason, didn't give you any feedback, just didn't even contact you any further. Now, here's where you're going to find a professional company. If you fail your interview, they're going to give you some feedback to help you do a better interview. I went on Google, I went on YouTube, I looked at all of these people saying, this is what you have to do for GoGoKid. My roommate downstairs works for GoGoKid. I sit and watched him for 4 days, for 4 hours every evening. I watched him. I knew how to use the platform. I knew how to use the tools. I knew what was required. I did my research. They come back, we're not going to pass you. I sent them another letter, and I'm going to show you. I want to tell you what this letter was that I sent them, because I feel like it's very important that you do this too. Whenever you go and you get a denial, whenever you get a denial, I want you to send this. Now, here's what I sent to GoGoKid, and we're going to see if they are a professional company. This is going to really tell us what we want to know. After reviewing my interview and having others who work for you review it, I am a little confused, but understanding about not passing. I'm not really understanding, but I want to be nice. It seems everyone is surprised at this outcome. And they were, just like Protostar. You will not imagine how many people really thought Protostar was a real jerk at the end of this. I said, I do not wish to present an argument on my abilities or the fact that I'm experienced, but I would like to ask some questions. So I'm not going to go into detail about why I should have been hired. I just got a couple of questions. Number one, what area do I need to work on to improve my chances of an opportunity to work for your company? In other words, tell me what I did wrong. Tell me what I could do better. Number two, while I understand the market is saturated and totally swamped with people applying, in what range did I fit in? Was I in the lower tier, the middle, the upper tier of applicants? Now that will tell me if someone actually rated me. If they cannot answer that question, no one looked at that interview. No one. In the interview process, it says these little stars, what you need to work on, what you need to do, but they don't give you that feedback. I want it. I want to know where I did place. I finished up by saying, while I will be applying again, but I do not want to waste your time or mine if I'm not acceptable. Yes, I am older, but experienced. Yes, I am not comfortable with doing a mock interview without someone here so I can feel engaged their reactions. In other words, if you're interested in me, put a person in there to meet me, to talk to me. I was in the, I have taught many times in the blind, and that's not a problem, meaning I have taught lessons where my camera was out. I couldn't see the kids, but they could see me. I've taught many times where I couldn't hear the students, but they could hear me, and I continued my lessons, and I could read them. I do that all the time. I'm a daytime teacher in a public school online, and that happens quite a bit in China, and yet I can still do it. So that's not an issue with me either. There just wasn't anyone there with anything. Nothing. But an interview should have an interested party participating with the applicant. And that's what I'm saying right there. If you're interested, you should have someone there participating with me. Please feel free to advise me on what I need to do to make this work in the future. respectfully. So that was my response to it that I sent back to them. And when I went on their website and I logged back into it, and this is where I got this information. In the actual letter they sent me, they didn't say it, but on this other one it said, unfortunately you did not pass the interview this time around. We welcome you to try again in a month. And then they gave me this address, Teach Teachers, and that's where I sent this email. So I'm telling you today, look at how they handle the interview process. If there's not someone interested in you really, and they're not going to be there meeting you to see how you are, to interact, to ask questions, to get to know you, in my personal opinion, it's a scam. It's not real. If they're not willing to tell you how to improve yourself and how to make it work, no one's even looking at it. So, I posted this here on my Teacher Terry's Wonderful Online Adventures. This is for you, GoGoKid. I like you. I really do. I'd love to work for you. I really would. I just want you to meet me halfway. I want you to be a little bit more transparent and open with your needs. I want you to be more helpful, and I want you to give a little bit more encouragement. I think you're a great company. I think that there's a lot of potential with you, but I think you need to tweak it up just a little bit so that people like me who do this as a career, not just a shot in the dark 2 or 3 year or 1 year deal and then gone. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you other applicants and other teachers out there. And I want to say this, I truly hope that one day I'll see you in the classroom.